Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals, like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500. That's audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What's happening?
Fucking life change, bud.
Look at that. I've got no hair. You got the gray hair going. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
I'm doing good. You?
Real good. Excellent. Yes, this Tom Smith has got me.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah.
No, perfect. Thanks, Luke.
Really good. You in the office?
Yeah.
Like the distinguished gentleman.
Yeah. Silver Fox, they say. Silver Fox.
So we're going to go right away, get on the show. Tom's going to do a little introduction, and we'll just get right at it.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Tom, this is a very big guest today. 668 goals in the NHL.
Who's that?
Hall of Famer. That ready. Former Ranger, King, Stanley Cup winner. He's been in some movies. He's had an action figure made of him.
Yeah, I'm on strike right now. I got a SAG card.
Oh,
I'm waiting for the settlement to get back to work.
But his greatest film acting was probably in a little video called The Confessions of a Prankster.
Oh, that's right.
Tom Laidlaw.
Or the baby powder. Remember that? Forgot about that. That's right, yeah.
Today we have Hall of Famer Kings president Luc Robitaille.
Luke, how you doing, brother? Great to see you again. Thanks for coming on. You're looking good. You're looking real good. I've got no hair left. You got gray hair.
I know.
That's good.
Life is changing for us.
Oh, that's good. Remember, I told a funny story to Tom. I don't know if you remember this or not. Somehow, I was like a 3-on-1 or something like that. We were playing in Toronto, and you passed back to me, and I took a one-timer and scored. And Timmy Waters was on the ice, like Tim and Tom, right, all the time. And Tim and I both looked at each other like, how did you do that? Like, you were laughing at us because we couldn't figure out how to do a one-timer.
That might have been your only.
Yeah. It could have been. And you know what? You're right. It probably was.
Well, didn't you say you went 2 years without a goal?
120 games. Without scoring. Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to do. I think it included practice, though.
Luke, when I got traded to the Kings in 86, 87, that was your first year in the league?
Yeah, that was my first year in the league. Yeah, 86, 87. Yeah.
So what'd you think when I came walking through the door? Like, what is this, the beer league or what?
You know, it's funny because growing up being from Montreal, the NHL was so different. It was so far, I don't think it wasn't even a goal of mine. I more want to play junior major. Like that was like a big, because that was so up there, like in my life at the time. And when I got to the pro, it took me, I would say, a whole year to realize, like, at the end of the day, all you guys were just like me. You were just older.
Yeah.
We were just all hockey players. But when you come in and it's like, oh man, this is the NHL, it was a different feeling. I was really nervous. I remember like the first few weeks, I was really nervous. It was kind of funny because I lived with Marcel Dion and I didn't think much of it. And then with him, but everybody else, I was really nervous around.
Isn't it true? I was the same way. You look back, because we really didn't know anything about the league back then. There was no internet, whatever, so you didn't know what you were getting yourself into. And for me, it was Phil Esposito was there, and I'm like, I'm on the ice with Phil Esposito.
Yeah.
And then, you look back at it now, you wonder, like, why was I so... But it makes sense, though, right? You grow up in Canada.
It's like, that's what we want to do. And, that was like, it was... you didn't think anything but just the next day or the next game, but it was the NHL. It was I do recall the first trip, like where we had to go to, I think we went to New York, and then I think after that we ended up going to Montreal, but I remember sitting in the middle seat because if you remember, they used to give us ticket if you were the rookie, you sat middle seat. And I remember sitting on the plane going, I'm actually getting on an airplane to go play a hockey game. Life is great.
That's not true. And for you, it was L.A. I was in New York, so these big cities. Like I'd never been in a big city like that before. I was like, what have I got myself into?
Yeah, that had to be crazy in New York for you guys.
Yeah, well, because I grew up on the farm, and then where I went to school was Northern Michigan, where it's just a small little mining town. So, Luke, Montreal was your hometown?
Yeah, Montreal. Like we were like on, like on the island of Montreal, we were kind of on the east side, and it was mostly French on that side of the island. Like the western side of the downtown part is bilingual, but my side of the island was strictly French. I mean, a couple people that spoke English, but that was it. Yeah, but it was literally on the island.
Right. Were you a pretty good goal scorer when you started playing hockey?
It's kind of funny. I was more of a playmaker and growing up, and I always had like a center, a right winger that would score a lot of goals, and I was never a great skater, so I think I learned to move the puck well. And then when I think I was 12 or 13, I saw Gretzky, and man, everything he did, I wanted to do it. I would go behind the net, and I mean, my last year in junior, I got like 130 assists, but I played with a guy that could score. My center got 92 goals. So I started practicing every day how to do one-timers and so forth. And that kind of changed my career. So the next year when we started the year, Jimmy Carson was a rookie and myself. And they put Jimmy Carson with Dave Taylor to take care of him to start. And then me with Marcel to start. And I remember Marcel telling me I was trying to saucer pass me. He goes, kid, I'll be the passer. You go to the net and I'll make sure to get you. I'm like, okay, Mr. Yeah. It's like, if you would have said you got to be a tough guy, I would have tried to fight. I would have gotten killed. I would have done anything to play the NHL. He said, go score a goal. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And literally, I ended up scoring a lot of goals. But in junior, even though I scored goal, I was really more known as a playmaker.
Wow, that's interesting. Where'd you play your junior hockey?
In the Hall, which is it's called Gatineau now, right by Ottawa.
Right. Is that why we had training camp there one year, right, with the Kings?
Yeah. Well, the reason we had training camp there one year is because my last year in junior, Gretz bought the team.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason we had training camp back there is when Gretz owning the team, we went back there. That was the reason.
Right. I remember we had poor Rogie. Rogie's a great guy.
Yeah.
Rogie Vashon. First day of training camp, you have the meeting in the morning, or the physicals in the morning. Then you have meeting. Yeah, so we had the afternoon off. So Larry Robinson's there, John Tonelli, yourself, myself, Timmy Waters. We all decided to go to that strip joint that day, remember? We went into like the champagne room or whatever it's called. All the strippers are in our room and 4 other guys are outside. There's no stripper dancing for them. So we have a few adult cocktails and we come back from the meeting for poor Rogie. And we're like a bunch of little kids. We're giggling and telling stories. And that poor Rogie's trying to have this serious meeting. That wasn't fair to him, but it was a fun time. It was fun.
I remember in the Hall, because I was still the kid. I was 2 years into my career, but I was still the kid. So Tim Water was my roommate.
Oh, God.
And I think Tom Webster had called a curfew one night. And Timmy, like he was down. I'm like, I'm going back to the room because I don't want to get caught for curfew. And he was like, I'll meet you at the bar. And like the idea is I was going back to the room in case they check for curfew, and then I would go out and meet him and probably you, and I'm in my room, and I'm putting perfume on. I got my cowboy boots, my jeans, and my nice shirt. I'm like, I'm gonna go meet the team. The door knocks, and I think it's Tim that changes his mind. I open, I go, hey, how you doing? And it's Tom Webster, our coach. And whenever he looks at me, he goes, hey, Lucky, he goes, you going anywhere? And right away I go, no, I'm just coming back in. He goes, is Muddy here? And I go, yeah, he's in the bathroom. He goes, okay. He goes, can I see him? I go, well, he's really gotta go. And he walks in the room and he see poor Tim wasn't there, and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I was so scared. I stayed in my room, and then next thing you know, a half hour later, Muddy calls me, and I'm like, John was here. He was checking. He goes, and I think he thought, Well, it's too late now. I'm about stay out, so I stayed out.
Oh, that's Timmy too.
Funny.
That is a funny story. That's good. I didn't know Webster's go around checking the rooms.
So Luke, you mentioned that Marcel Dion was your idol growing up, and then you get to play with him your rookie year, your first couple years. But then, devastating to you, he gets traded, and even more devastating, it's for this knucklehead.
Yeah.
How do you feel when that's happened?
I would say Marcel was my idol. It's more like you grew up in Quebec, and we didn't know LA, but you knew Marcel Dion, and you had heard of the Triple Crown line. So when I came into LA, he really took me under his wing, and I lived at his house. It was great. But about a month before he had gotten traded, I started looking for an apartment because it was like January, and it was probably more like in my first lesson of professional sport. You had seen it in junior, but there was not as many trades, you know. And I remember Marcel was upset, and he had played with Rogie, and you don't know the behind the scene, but from what I heard later was I think Marsh wanted to maybe extend his deal for a year or two. And I think maybe Rogie had said, well, let's talk in the summer. And then they got into a heated argument. And that's when I remember Marcel going to dinner with him and Carol, and she was crying because they thought they were going to get traded. I don't think you ever know you're going to get traded, but they did think they would get traded because I think Marcel just wanted a new deal at the time. I can't remember, but I remember having dinner and it was sad. And it was more of a lesson, like you do realize there's a business side to it, and it was kind of part of the business. And we were surprised and shocked, but you know, it is when you're a player, unfortunately or fortunate, you move on. You still with your friends the rest of your life, but you got to move on.
Isn't that true? We talked about that a lot. When somebody else is getting traded, I mean, like in that case, you're sad, but you've got to keep playing, right? But when you get traded, yeah.
And then Tom Laidlaw is the guy coming in.
Well, for me, I remember when I heard it was Marcel, I was like, no way. LA's not going to trade Marcel Dion.
But it was Tom and it was Dukes. Ron Dugate too, huh, Tom?
No, it was Bobby Carpenter.
Oh, it was you and when did Ron Dugate come? So he must have come the next year as a free agent?
Yeah, I think he did. I can't remember if free agent or traded. Or all right, so we were talking about Marcel getting traded. But you were like, did you get? You had a great year. How many goals did you score your first year?
I think I got 45 goals my first year. Yeah.
So did you anticipate that was going to happen?
No, but you know, because my mindset the way it was, like for me, like I was drafted in the 9th round.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, once I made it in the NHL, like I wasn't on a mission. It was like I wanted to stay, so I want to be better the next day. Like if I didn't practice hard one day, it was more because I thought I was going to be tired the next game. You know, like everything I did was to get ready for the next game. I wasn't, like, example, I wasn't as crazy as you, Tom. Like, I made sure, like, I knew the night before the game I had to go to bed early because I knew I wasn't as strong as some guys, or as I always felt I wasn't as good, but I knew I could get an edge. I was always trying to get an edge. I did go out after the game.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Luc was a great team player. There's no question about that.
I was always trying to get better for the next game. Like every game was really, really important to me. Even preseason, like I remember, like maybe it's to a fault sometimes, but that's kind of the way I took it.
Yeah, you were motivated. Like sometimes people think of your goal scoring, but you got a few scraps out there too. You got some trouble out there.
We're playing with you guys, even with you guys, you kind of knew, even though you take some, but you got to give it back, or it's the jungle out there. You're going to get beaten out.
Yeah, back in those days, if you didn't stick up for yourself. They're playing against Edmonton too, man. They had some nasty games against Edmonton, Calgary.
We would do that trip back to back, remember? And we would have to fly to Salt Lake City, wait a few hours, then fly to Edmonton, then bus to Calgary and go back to back. And just like, I remember right away, I think by game 2, I would have to match against Jim Peplinski in Otto.
All right, so 42 goals your first year?
45.
45.
And called a trophy too.
That's right, yes. I forgot about that. You're a pretty good hockey player.
What's funny about that is, like, I went to the award show. They invited me, Jimmy Carson, Ron Extall. And if you remember, in 86, 87, Ron Extall, like, they went to the finals with the Flyers. So they asked me, you don't know anything, they asked me to go to the award for the rehearsal, and I go there, and they announce the second All-Star team, they just announced it, and I see that I was on the left wing. Then they announced the first All-Star team, and I see that Ron Hextall is on the first All-Star team. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to win the Rookie of the Year. He's on the first All-Star team, and I'm on the second. So I kind of had a speech like I was getting ready just in case, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't need to get a speech ready. Ron Hextall is going to win. So I remember I sat there at the award. I'm like, and I was okay with it. And I was like, you know, I was just so enamored. I was at the award. Gretzky was there, and Michel Goulet, and all these guys. And next thing you know, they name my name, man, and I freeze.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I was so sure, like, from about, I think the rehearsal, let's say, was at noon. From noon till the show started at 8 or 7. The whole afternoon, it was awesome. I'm like, I don't have to get anything ready. You know, when you're a kid, you're like, oh,
sure.
What do I do? Like, all you worry about is a damn speech.
Yeah, that's why. So you're there a couple of years, like 2 or 3 years, and then Gretzky gets traded there.
Yeah.
So obviously you have the big move. Marcel's going out. Now Wayne comes in. He's kind of, I guess, your idol, right? Or he wanted to be like one.
Yeah.
So you pretty pumped up when you heard that?
I was really pumped, and I like, I remember where I was when the trade happened, and I was really excited. But I got, to be honest, like, we had that first camp in Victoria, British Columbia.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it's like, it's hard to meet your idol. Like, I mean, I'm talking like sorry, Tom, I didn't have your picture in my room, but I had Gretz's picture. I studied him every game. I watched every interview. Everything I could find on Gretzky in the game, I did. So it was really hard for me the first year because I really almost couldn't talk to him. Like, it was, and I remember he'd say, "Hey, Lucky, you want to go to dinner?" Remember going to dinner with Gretzky?
Sure.
Dinners with Gretz would start at 8 to be done at 11:30, and I was dying because I would be in bed at 10:30 the night before the game. So I remember after a couple of months, I'm like, I love him, but I can't keep doing this. It's bad for me, but I couldn't talk. I remember Gretz said to me one night, like on the bench, he goes, I tried to give him a saucer pie, got caught. He go, "Hey, Lucky, just give it to me. Give it to me. Don't worry, I'll give it back." And I'm like, well, fuck, I know, for sure. I know he will. And then from then on, it was like a grenade. I just kept trying to give it to him. And then I remember Robert Fitard said, "I'm going to take you off his line because you can't play anymore." And it was almost a relief at the time. I was so nervous.
Oh,
because it's your idol. You just don't want to disappoint him, It was kind of weird. It was a weird feeling that first year.
yeah, it was hard to play with him sometimes, especially early, because I got to get him the puck. I've got to get him the puck.
And Gretzky, you got to give him. I knew I was going to get back, but it was almost too much. Like, I don't think I was helping him either. Remember how crazy that was, that World Hotel?
Oh yeah, with all the movie stars coming to the locker room and everything
Before the game.
Oh yeah, remember Robbie Fatorik? Sylvester Stallone came in. He called him Rocky. Robbie introduced him. "This is Rocky, everybody." I said, "Well, no, it's not."
I remember he comes in the room and he's like, "Yo, yo, yo," before they try to give him, and he walks out. We're like, he's really small.
Yeah. Remember, like, Tom Cruise was there with Nicole Kidman too, and Tom Cruise was like about a foot shorter than she was. We're like, it is weird once you first see those guys. You think, they're really not all that much, right?
Yeah.
It's just like,
It was so weird.
I remember John Candy was in there with Michael J. Fox. They were hammered too. Like, they're just after the game.
Yeah, what a time. And you had a great owner too, who was like,
we had Bruce on the show too. He was good. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah.
good. He's
Yeah,
good, man.
he's good, man. Yeah. Remember, he was funny because, I was the lead the charge with the beers and everything. And after the game, he'd hand me like $2,000 to say, "Tommy, take the guys all over for beers. We'd be on the road someplace." And yeah, he was good.
great owner.
I remember Bruce would come in. He would say, "You win tonight. It's whatever."
Yeah.
$500. The guy would be like, "What?"
That was a lot of fun. Remember all the times, like, even Wayne's breaking records and all that, we're all part of it. That was cool.
Oh, it was amazing. Like, it was like we'd have something special, and like everything was an event too. We go to those preseason game tour.
Yeah,
it was so different. I mean, no matter what, Gretz and Bruce McDonald, they did a lot to grow the game.
Yeah, totally. Yep, they really did. Yeah, so you saw it even more so. I did a little bit where it was great in L.A. He was great playing there. We had a good hockey team. We had a really good hockey team. But, really nobody, we did have 8 or 9 or 10,000 people in the building. And it goes from that to now we were it. Like, I remember going into Montreal one night, and it was late in the year. We had like a really good season. Montreal was having a good year. Ray Scampanella was a linesman on he's opening face-off at Saturday Night Hockey, Night Canada. And he turns to me, he goes, Tommy, this is unbelievable. Like he was fired.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like we had people following. I remember we had a plane. We had John J. Craig Stadler getting on the plane with your celebrity. It was all, and then we'd always land into a city and to be a limo because Bruce would take guests to some event. But it was about selling to him. We didn't know at the time too. I think Bruce was trying to negotiate with banks.
Yeah, I know. It is funny. People ask me about Bruce McDonald. I said, listen, I know he went to jail and everything, but he was fantastic to us. And whenever I've spoken to him, he doesn't try to blame somebody else. He says, I did it. The way it is.
Yeah, same for me. Like what he did for the players, though, he was about the players. He treated us so good. We'd never seen that. He changed the model. He was the first one to come. I remember we all thought when we traded for Wayne, we were like, oh man. I remember talking to Theo. He's going to make $1 million a year. He's going to be the first. And Bruce signed him for $2 million a year. And what he did though is he told the world that. Yeah. So by him saying he's going to make $2 million a year for whatever it was amount of years, like that means Mark Messier and all the guys were like, wait a minute, if Wayne makes 2, I can make 1. I can make 1.5.
Totally.
And it really started helping every player.
Yeah, because I mean, Bruce, when Bob Goodenow came into Players Association, he brought in the salary disclosure, but Wayne's salary was, that's really what drove up salaries by getting that money.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how many years did you play in Los Angeles?
Played 14 years altogether. Yeah.
But so the first time around, though, how long were you there?
I was there 8 years.
And so, what happened to that trade? You get traded, right?
So, what happened is I ended up going to Pittsburgh. I mean. I didn't know at the time, like Bruce was in trouble and my contract was coming up and there was all kinds of situation and I kind of knew something was coming and Bruce helped me and it was Howard Baldwin that owned Pittsburgh and I ended up getting traded there. And then when I got to Pittsburgh, there was a lockout the next year. Remember all that stuff it happened and then Howard, great man, is still my friend today. Like at the time, I didn't know either. He ended up getting in money, not trouble, but I guess it should be much trouble. He ended up filing bankruptcy with the team. So if you remember, there was a settlement during the lockout where it was like, if you had an option, remember we always had like a 2-year plus an option.
Yep.
You had the choice to renege your option year from that lockout. So if I reneged my option year, I had the opportunity to go to arbitration. And at that time, I was the only player with 8+ years in a row with 40+ goals. So I was technically the best case that we were going to ever have. Right. So my agent, I was a baseball agent, Tom Rich.
Oh, yeah. I remember Tom. He's a good guy.
He recommended that I filed. And so we filed. And then Howard said, I want to keep you, Luke, but I won't be able to pay you because Mario sat out that year. Due to injury. The next year he was coming back. He had a bad back. So I ended up getting traded to the Rangers. Oh, okay. Then I signed a new contract with the Rangers, which at the time was a big contract.
Right. So how many years did you have in Pittsburgh then?
I was in Pittsburgh only like that lockout year. That was it. Okay. It was really short.
Right. Oh, then go back.
The Rangers, it didn't work out there. It is sometimes some situations. Yeah. I love playing with the Rangers. I love Leach, Mass, and Kevin Lowe, like all these guys. It was so Mike Richter and but after a couple of years, I couldn't find my role almost on the team. It's kind of weird, and I ended up getting traded back to LA.
The first time you left LA, what was your feeling then? I mean, that was your team, right? You had some big years there. Like, were you totally shocked? I know you realized that Bruce had money problems, but still, that was your home, right?
That was my home, man. My wife was from there. We had a boy at the time, so it wasn't easy to leave there. But I think like I said earlier, like things that happened with Marcel and so forth. What happened to my last year? I got hurt, and I didn't talk about it too much, and it probably hurt me over time. And I kept playing hurt, and as it turned out, my ankle was broken at the end of the year, and no one knew from like February on.
Oh, wow.
That didn't help me, but then once I got the surgery, you know what it was? I broke my ankle, and my speed on the ice never changed. I knew it never changed my game.
But I know you're joking around, but that's a real compliment too. Because skating was not your top thing. You were an awful skater, but you still scored like over 600 goals. Hall of Fame player,
Top 100 of all time.
Yeah.
NHL players.
That's right.
You're like top 20,000.
To ask my dad, I go, "Am I really slow?" And he said, "I don't know. When there's a loose puck, you there first." So that's
Yeah, it's true.
Who would win in a race out of you two guys?
It'd be a speed. It'd be a battle. I'll tell you that.
I might get Tom on the first 3 steps because that's what I worked on every day, and I know he did.
I tell the funniest thing. So we talk about Tim and Tom. So Tim Waters, who we've had on the show. So especially when Robbie Fatorig was coaching, he just loved us, right? So and Luke laughs about this all the time because there's not much Tim and I are going to do. We can't say no, we're not going on the ice, but it's all the time. I dressed like 7 defensemen one time, and Tim and Tom would go for everything.
If they had minutes in those days, you guys played 30.
Wow.
Huh? They would play like in the third period. If the game was, if we were down a goal or up a goal, forget it. You guys played for sure 10 of the last 20 minutes for sure.
Wow.
Down a goal, they still played 8 or 9. We were like, we're never going to score with these guys. But there's nothing to give you on the ice laughing.
Oh God. Oh yeah. Like we couldn't do anything about it. We can't say no. We're not going to the ice, Robbie.
He loved it. When he started with video, and whenever he showed video of you guys, it was like all the perfect. This the way. This the we're like. The best one is you guys were the one laughing the most.
I know.
The favorites.
I know. We went on the ice one time with Wayne. There's some spot we need to score a big goal. Wayne goes on the ice. You were probably on the ice with him. Probably Bernie. So he throws Tim and Tom out on the ice, and Wayne turns and looks at us. And we knew him well enough, but he rolled his eyes and he kind of caught himself and was laughing. We said, "Don't worry about it, Wayne. We understand."
And Wayne knew the reason Wayne got 3,000 points. He knew well enough. He wouldn't have even looked at the point. He would have looked him up someone else.
Oh, well, it's a funny time where he tied Gordie Howe's point record in Edmonton, and we had a 4-on-4, and I'm on the ice with him. And of course, the Edmonton guys didn't pay attention to me at all, so I'm standing out in the slot, and Wayne passes to me. I went into panic mode. I didn't know what to do. Bernie was covered on the side of the net there by Charlie Huddy. I said, "Screw it, I'm passing to Bernie."
Threw him a grenade.
Oh God, he tips it in, and then it's hilarious video watching because it looks like this is great play. But I just wanted to get the puck off my stick, and Bernie comes laughing at me like, "What are you doing passing to me?" We had some fun times. That's good.
I gotta go watch that play now.
Oh, you should. Yeah.
I remember the play.
Yeah. It makes it look like it's a really brilliant play by me, but it wasn't. I was just like, "Get off my stick. I don't want it." Oh, funny stuff.
But then after Luke leaves LA, he winds up and what some say is the greatest team put together, the 2002 Red Wing team. That had 9 or 10 Hall of Famers on it.
Yeah. That was it was amazing to be part of that group. You know, like and I think it was the right time for that group because everybody had done, you know, at that point, like we were an older team, but the skill level was incredible, and it was a very special group. And you know, it's one of those. It's pretty rare that sometimes it happened where you say, "Okay, this is like it's a once in a lifetime team. Is it gonna work?" And it did work, you know. And people forget we were down 2-0 in the first round at home, and they were throwing Dominic Hasek's jersey. We were down 2-0 against Vancouver. And I remember Stevie Y after game 2, we flew to Vancouver, and everybody was like, "Dad said it's over," and Stevie said it's like, in a calm manner. If anybody knows Steve Yzerman, he's very calm, and he's got a great sense of humor, but he only spoke once or twice, but when he spoke, everybody listened, and he says, "We're just going to go out there tomorrow, and we're going to play our game. We're going to win the game, and we're going to move on." And he said, "We'll win the series." And he goes, "It's not about the series. We're here to win the cup." And that was it. We went out there, and it was a 1-1 game, and Nick Lidstrom scored from the red line.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But I remember, like, it was such a calming thing, you know. You just kind of, okay, we're just going to go play, and we believe in ourselves.
So you got back to LA, then to Detroit. Did you go back to LA after that again?
Yeah, after Detroit, I became a free agent. So at the time, we had President Tim Lewicki. When I left to go to Detroit, it was kind of a uncomfortable situation, but I became a free agent. I signed in Detroit, and I thought I was going to sign in LA, but I never got the right offer. And then I had a chance to go to Detroit, and I remember my wife saying, "Where would you want to go? What where does it give you your best chance to win the cup? And I said, Detroit. And so we tried to go to Detroit, and once they were interested, I never tried to go anywhere else. Right. And, but then after a couple of years of Detroit, I became a free agent again. And Tim Leiweke was the president at the time. It told me, he goes, we'd like for you to come and finish your career in LA. And so when I became a free agent, I told, I didn't call anybody. I called Tim and said, hey, that's what you said. I'd like to do that. So I was lucky. I played a couple more years in LA. We had a lockout that whole year. And, but it was great. And I learned a lot in Detroit because I believe it's hard to know what it takes to win until you win.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that when I was a player. I want to be on the ice. You want to be on the ice, the difference maker. But to really win, you got to trust everybody. You got to trust that the team's going to do everything. And I because I became more of a role player in Detroit, it made me appreciate everything. Because then you become a role player, you're like, oh, role players are important.
Yeah.
But it taught me great lessons. So a lot of the stuff I learned while I was in Detroit, the way people were treated, the way Mr. Ilitch and Ken Holland treated people, I brought back in LA, and we started having a different speed. Once I retired, we changed the verbiage or the communication with our staff first before we went out to our fans. And Dean Lombardi came, and then we were lucky it worked like a few years later.
So changing the communication, Luc, was that your idea to change the?
Yeah, I think LA for years, it was a really good organization. Like Bruce kind of did things like to win, but we didn't really, I mean, personally anyway, I'm not going to speak for you, but I didn't really understand, we had Larry Robinson, we had guys that won, they would talk about winning, but whether I didn't listen or didn't understand, what it took, but I do believe everybody needs to be on board, whether you have a girl or a guy that works for your foundation. They need to know that their whole job is to make sure the players are treated right so the players can help us win the cup. And they should deliver that message. Doesn't mean you're going to win the cup, but you should try, And so we have everybody kind of speaking the same language in that way. Everything is geared towards making the team as good as it could be, making their life as easy as could be, so they can help us get to hopefully winning the last game of the year.
So did you know you were going to go into management before you retired?
No, I didn't know. But when I got near the end of my career, I started preparing myself. That one lockout year, knowing I would maybe play one more year, kind of helped me. I went back to, over the years, I've never really said no to autographs, or people would ask me to go to foundation work or doing things. So what I did that year, a lot of people that I had met over the year, I started meeting with them to understand their business, understand their philosophy. People I respected. And I started learning about, building a business or, seeing things from a different approach. Because when you're a player, you only live day by day. Yeah. All that matters the next game. You don't even know who you're playing the next week yet. Remember that? It's like practice, the next game. When you're in business, you got to start looking a little bit ahead and so forth. Like now we look at kids like 3 years from now when we draft them and so forth, So I start preparing myself. But my big goal was to, when I retired, to set myself to help the Kings organization change the culture.
Oh. And did you tell Mr. Leiweke that?
Yep. Okay. That's how I took a year after I retired, and I was kind of a consultant. And then Dean Lombardi had come on board, and he was talking about rebuilding and building from the draft and so forth. I'm not sure he used the word rebuilding, but he always talked about making sure you don't trade away your kids, your defensemen, and so forth. He would constantly, Dean was very analytical. He really understood like that part of it, it was fascinating. And he wanted to treat people good. They had done a really good job while he was in San Jose. So after a year, I said, well, why don't you let me run the business so I could speak to the fans, Dean's message, because we had no one speaking that. And Tim Leiweke at the time was AEG, where the company was growing really fast and massively. So they needed a voice, and I became kind of that voice. And then slowly but surely, we started kind of building the whole business side.
Okay. Well, what's really impressed me about you is a lot of guys, I think not as much now, but in the past, when they were presidents, they were former players, they just go golfing with corporate sponsors and all that kind of stuff. you really sunk your, like you're talking now, you really sunk yourself into the business. So yes, you're out there talking to people, but you really ran the business side, right? You're still doing
because I'm a bad golfer.
you and me, you and me both.
Well, Luc ran the business, built 2 Stanley Cup champions too.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that for sure. Yeah, how that? So you won 1 Stanley Cup as a player with Detroit, right?
Yeah.
So now you come in and you're basically taking over the team. I mean, you're running the business side and everything. So now you win that first Stanley Cup. How'd that feel?
You know, it's funny because when you're running, like, you know, like on the hockey upside, let's say you got your scouts and all your player management, you got your pro scouts and your amateur scouts and so forth. But on the other side, you got, you know, 100 people just running everything, whether it's filling up the building or what you're doing around town and so forth. And so when we were in the playoff in 2012, and I remember we were in Vancouver, and then we're in LA, and next thing you know, you're up 3-0, and we're kind of happy, but you're like, oh my God, we got to get ready for the next round, you know? So you never want to talk to your hockey ops or your players about you're getting ready for the next round, because as you know, you got to win the last game. Yeah. But if you're not ready, you're dead. Yeah. No, on the business side, because you got to make sure, like, you got to start talking about making sure the building is sold out for the next round, and then making sure you got like a marketing campaign. If the Lakers are out, you got to jump on the bandwagon, and so forth. So I remember every round that year we were up 3-0. We'd be celebrating, having a glass of wine. Oh my God, we gotta get ready now. Yeah. But it was kind of fun. It made it easy because we're always up 3-0, you know. Right. But it was pretty amazing run. How I've never seen to this day a team where you literally watch an entire playoff run where you couldn't pick a player and say, hey, he had an off night tonight. That was incredible. I've never seen that where everybody seems to be like Pistons going, like every line will go. It was incredible to see how that team played that year.
I remember watching the parade day. So you had the parade, and then you go into to have your kind of all the guys making the speeches and everything.
Yeah.
Remember that day? Remember Jonathan Quick? Yes. He did the F-bomb going about 100 times.
Well, Quickie didn't want to speak. These guys, you know, it's like you win, and then you got the parade, and everybody's hungover.
Yeah.
You've been drinking for 2 days. And I remember, like, Mike Altieri, our marketing, our PR guy, he's talking to Quickie. You got to say something. You got to say something. He's like, he was so hungover, and he's a very quiet guy. Quickie is like, he doesn't sell up for anything. He's one of the greatest leader ever in the room. Like, I've seen a lot of goalies where guys respect the crap out of it, but this guy, it's a whole other level. They respect him so much. It's amazing, and he fights for his teammate. He never blames anybody. It's amazing. So we're like, you got to say something, and he's like, he really didn't want to, but he reluctantly agreed because he knew he was the MVP, and the guy's like, got to say something. And you got to say he had nothing. I'm on the East bucket. Yeah. Oh.
Well, you know what I thought was funny? The next time you won, the mayor gets up there and he starts dropping the F-bomb, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you know that? That was funny.
Just to make him feel comfortable. Yeah. That second time, it was pretty cool because we did the parade downtown in LA. It was, I don't know, 400,000 or 500,000 people. And then right away, we took them all down in the beach because our guys, by that time, they owned the beach, so we did another parade at the beach. That was the most incredible day. It was awesome.
Yeah, that one hurt you listeners, though, Tom, because they beat the Rangers that year, as you remember.
Oh, that's right, too. Yeah. They beat the Rangers. That was the Laidlaw Cup, right? The Laidlaw Cup.
No, more the Robitaille Cup.
More the Robitaille Cup. Is that what it was?
Or the Gretzky Cup.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I forgot about him. So 2 cups. How do you feel about the team right now?
We like where we're at. Like we kind of went through this rebuild, and we've been very strategic and taking our time. And guys that we had to trade for, we try to sign them as long as we can if they fit the team. And it's like where every team, you're like, we had question last year about our goaltending. This year so far it's been good. We really like the way we play. We play hard. We don't give much space on the ice. We force loose pucks, and if we keep playing like that, we're going to be there at the end. And you know the way the game is now, it's so hard. Like it used to be, like there were 21 teams, 16 teams made the playoffs. There's 32 now, and only 16 make the playoffs. So when you're in the tournament, you have a chance. And we have 3 great centers. that our matchups are hard against anybody. We have good D that move the puck out of the zone, and our goaltending has been good. So we get in the tournament. We think we can not surprise team, but we can match up against anybody. It's like I said, though, it's hard. Like the Rangers have a good team. Edmonton, Vegas got a great team. Colorado, Carolina's got a really good team. You look at Boston, even though they lost their center, they're still there. So we think there's 10 teams that are really hard to play against. We're one of them, which we like that we're there now.
So you got Rob Blake as your general manager, former teammate. How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's very analytical. He takes his time. He doesn't make any rash decision. And when it's time to move, though, he makes a move. And he's shown that the last few years. And
he's done a good job there.
We like it. We work really well as a team, the group there. And when you work hard and you trust people and you do the best you can every day, usually the results will be good. I mean, I'm a big believer in treating people right, and he treats people really good, because long term, that's the way to be. You know, there's hard decisions you have to make and so forth, and we've made some decisions that were really hard in the last few years, but at the end of the day, if it's for the betterment of the organization, as long as you treat people good.
You know, I think part of it is, Luke, too, is you're not always going to be right on something. Like sometimes you're just going to make a mistake on a player, right?
You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You try to minimize them, and it's going to happen. But I think you don't want to make any decision based on emotion. You know, and that's the biggest thing.
Is Dave Taylor working with you guys, or where's he?
No, Dave is in St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
Been there for a long time. I can't remember what exactly his title, but it's up there on all the player development and the so I see him to a lot of games. Still lives. He actually moved in Orange County, but he's a great hockey man.
Yeah. He's a great guy too. I sat beside him in the locker room there. He's a funny guy. Yeah, quiet, but
very quiet but funny. Huh? Great humor.
He'd give that little giggle once in a while. I do something stupid. He'd be like,
Well, we should probably, before we go, we should talk about how many takes it took to get that film made that you and Luke did.
Okay, so everybody knows. So Bob Borgen, right? Remember Bob Borgen worked for Prime Ticket. Great guy. He was a producer. And I was always doing the practical jokes. So he set it all up. There was Mario Goslin was the one with shaving cream in his ear.
Mario Goslin,
Yeah, Marty got the shaving cream and the towel. And Luke volunteered to, or we asked him to get the baby powder with the hairdryer in it. Hairdryer with the baby powder in it.
Yeah,
I surprised you did. You put it right in your face too. So
one take.
One take. Yeah, it was one take. Yeah.
I think that was my first acting gig.
Yes, I got you in acting. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah,
launching careers everywhere.
Yeah, we did a show with Grant Ledyard. Got his career going. I lost my spleen, so he got a chance to play. So
what a guy
back in New York. What a good guy.
Fun, though.
Yeah, that was good. You were a good sport about it because you didn't half-ass it. It was right in the face. It was good. People watch that all the time. I Bob Borgen won an Emmy not because for that. Yeah, he did for some sports short clip.
We'll show.
Well respected, yeah.
Yeah, Bob's a good guy. Yeah. You know, I see on Facebook once in a while is Peter Demers, our former trainer.
Yeah. We still see him. He comes to the game once in a while. He's been traveling more the last few years, but we still see him. We still, he still comes, and we try to have as you know, when guys come in town, we try to treat the alumni the best.
You do. You do a very good job. Yeah.
Guys in town also.
Remember, was the traveling kind of secretary, Ron Munoz, was that his name?
Yeah, Ron Munoz, yeah.
Okay, so I'm Mr. Smartass. He's on the front of the bus, and he's counting to make sure we got all the players. So like an idiot, I say to him, maybe take your shoes off. Like, meaning he has to use his toes to count.
Oh, wow.
I don't realize he's got a fake leg.
Oh.
So he was good about it. He takes his leg off and at the front of the bus. He says, we're going to use this talking. I feel like the guys were buying. I was like, good thing he had a sense of humor about it.
He did. He had a sense of humor about it, which was really funny.
Maybe that's why they don't invite you to any Kings alumni events.
Actually, Luke, I was invited to, there was a retirement of a defenseman's number that you invited me to. I ended up I was pooping my pants and throwing up the toilet. Go. Who was that? You had somebody, this is a few years ago, you had somebody that was retiring.
Might have been Maddie.
No, I think it was Maddie.
Andy Nordstrom?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you had a lot of guys there, a lot of defensemen.
Yeah.
That's good.
Bring guys back. It's kind of funny, like you talk about treating people right, but I remember a few years ago, I was like so tired of like people looking at the Flyers, the Philadelphia Flyers, like they're an original six.
Oh.
In our league, there's the original six.
Yeah.
And I feel there's the Flyers and everybody else. And I was like, why is everybody treating the Flyers like they're an original six? You know, like they got that certain respect. And then I realized it was Mr. Schneider, the way he treated everybody. And they had a lot of alumni around. Yeah. And then when you go to the Flyers, no matter what, all the ex-Flyers are around and everything. I'm like, that's what makes that franchise so special. So,
well, Luke, you've done a great job at that. Anytime I've ever needed something from you, if I needed tickets for a friend of mine, or what, a young kid I coached actually wanted to go to a game, so I asked you if you had tickets. You had them up in the box. You didn't give him tickets. That was very cool. That meant a lot to me. Other people. So you're doing what you want to do. You're building that reputation, or you built it already. So
that's what you try to, but it takes time. You got to do it right every day, and as an organization, it's a lot of work, and you got to have everyone on board.
Yeah,
and they're doing great stuff in the community. They just rebuilt the roller rink in Burbank too. Oh, so
yeah. We we got, like, it's funny, during COVID, we took over, I think, 5 rinks. So we either manage our own 5 more rinks, so we're 6 or 7 rinks.
Okay, so let's go through this career. So you start off, you're not a real goal scorer, you're a playmaker. You're not the best skater.
Believe that anyway.
Yeah. You're not the best skater in the world. You're a 9th round draft pick.
Drafted after Tom Glavine.
That's right. You end up playing for what? How many total years in the National Hockey?
20. 19 years. With Lowaka would have been 20 with Brian.
Hall of Fame career. You would have been the highest scoring left winger in history had Ovechkin not just passed you. It's pretty impressive. Now you're the president of the team that's won 2 Stanley Cups as well. Pretty impressive.
And an actor, as we mentioned.
And an actor.
Yeah.
That's right.
And on strike.
Very cool. You should be very proud of yourself, Luke.
It's been a good ride. It's been fun. Yeah.
Do you ever take a minute to just step back and go, wow, man, like think back when you're 15 years old, okay, would I ever be doing the things I've done?
Every once in a while, it's more like you're on the phone. I'll tell you, I've had a couple moments, but every once in a while I'll say, man, I remember being 8 years old, shooting a ball or a puck. My dad used to make these heavy pucks from the scrap yard with lead.
Right.
And thinking, like, I was just shooting against the wall. I'm like, man, I'm still involved in the same game I was playing at 8, so I find that pretty cool. I would say the one moment in my life that I stopped, because I never stop. I'm always trying, okay, what can we do today to be better, And probably I should stop and enjoy it once in a while, but it was Pat Quinn, which was my first coach in the NHL, called me, I think it was like 2014 or 13, and he asked me to get on the selection committee for the Hall of Fame. Oh. And at that moment, that's the one time in my life I called my dad. I go, Dad, I think that's the greatest thing in my life. And I said, remember, I wanted to play in the NHL. I got to play in the NHL. That was amazing. I got to win the cup. I got in the Hall of Fame, which is not what you said, but to be part of the committee that selects the guys are going to get in. To me, for some reason, that's the greatest honor ever.
I think it's a great honor.
I take it very seriously all the time.
Well, it shows how much people respect you, right? Like you built, and I really admire that with the guys, and you've done it, obviously. It's great you had that great career, but you got a whole other life ahead of you after your career is done. So what do you do with your life? How do you make a difference out there? And you've certainly done that. So.
Yeah, what do you do? And as you know, it's about our family, though. You got to do it right. Because when it's all said and done, we're going to be alone.
Yeah. Well, if I keep getting divorced, I'm going to be alone. That's for sure. And you've never gotten divorced, right? You had your one wife, and that's
she still put up with me.
God, that's amazing. We've done like over 70 shows, and I bet you the divorce rate for ex-players is like 90%.
Oh, it's hard. It's so hard. I think it's really hard when guys retire, because everybody thinks they're going to retire, and that like I meet with a lot of guys that retire, because guys, we made good money, we did well, but guys today, it's a whole different world. They make a lot of money, and I tell them, get busy, do something, because you think you got to be home, and it's not going to work. It's too hard. I mean, you got it, because you've been your whole life. You've been, people would tell you, get on the plane, do this, do that. And I tell them, if you like hockey, don't do it for the money. Just do it because pick something you love. Yeah. Because this, you retire at 35. Hopefully, you got 60 or 50 more years to live. And
your mental health.
Play golf every day and do that.
Yeah, your mental health. You really got it. That's one thing I really learned a lot about is mental health. Really keeping yourself active. mentally and physically. So,
Yeah.
well, Luke, listen, I know I don't need to tell you this. You've had a fantastic life so far. It's not over yet. You still got a lot to do. You're going to do this for a few more years, retire doing this, or what?
Yeah, dude. It's like I said, I was reading the other day, Pat Riley, and I was looking, he's 78, still having fun doing it. I'm like, I'm not sure I could do it to that, but I know you guys stay busy.
Yeah. Well, Luke, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. We're going to get you on again. If you watch too. Okay. Thanks.
All right, bud.
Great to see you again.
And let me know when you're coming in LA.
Okay. I definitely will.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, Luke.
Talk to you.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Let's do it. Oh, fuck's sake.
See, people think that I actually have like Chewbacca here. So, or Chewbacca, or is it? What am I doing?
I don't know. Did a stroke victim. No, you sound like you had a fucking stroke, man. Come on. So anyway, we just talked to your former teammate, Hall of Famer, greatest 100 players of all time, retired number, president of the Kings, Luc Robitaille. Yeah, he's a good. You could just see he's a good dude, man.
And he talked a lot about being good to people. Like he really wanted to build the organization to be that way. So it's like with a plan too that he really.
No, for sure. And I tell you this all the time, but I know from doing this, like who I deal with, how I interact with them. Like I didn't play with them. You did. Most of these guys are against it. They don't know me for anything, and I can tell how they react. And he's a good dude. He's just a very good dude.
That's the good thing, right? Most hockey players, I'm really proud of this too. They just treat people like people. They're no better.
Very much so.
They're hockey players, but it doesn't mean they're better.
We've done 75 shows, and maybe there's been like 2 guys who were kind of like,
Yeah,
I don't want to say who they were.
Yeah, that's true. Come on, who was it?
Nah,
We won't have him on again.
Tom Laidlaw. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the only one.
You'll see, but what a player! Like we had Glenn Healy on it. He was saying how couldn't skate, couldn't fight, couldn't shoot, and now he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, what he's done. We talked about this too. What he's done after the game, probably just as impactful as he was as a player.
Sure,
leading the team 2 Stanley Cups.
Beat the Rangers in 2014. He's the president of the team.
It's amazing how he called that the Laidlaw Cup too, right?
He didn't say that actually. No, you said that.
Oh, is that?
And he wouldn't even take credit for the Robitaille Cup. I mean, you could settle on the Gretzky Cup, I guess. Could be the Duguay Cup or the Barry Beck Cup.
Barry Beck Cup. Who else? Mike Allison Cup.
Rick Chartrand Cup.
Chartrand Cup. Jay Wells. Mark Hardy.
Wow, there's a lot of them that played. Marion Gaborik Cup. A lot of guys played for both teams. Jonathan Quick Cup. Now.
Jonathan Quick Cup, yes. Interesting how he talked about Jonathan Quick, too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what a leader he was.
Because I guess they had Dustin Brown and then Kopitar, but he said he was one of the best leaders he's ever seen in hockey, more than you.
They had a tough defenseman. I think it was Green. They had a defenseman.
Yeah.
He was funny, too. So Luke and I were talking about how when they won their first cup, they had the parade, and then they go have the speeches and everything, and how Quick didn't want to talk at all.
Oh, no. And he was, if you watch that on YouTube, he was polluted.
Oh, yeah. The F-bomb in the world. But the other Green, so Doughty got up and talked. He barely said it.
Yeah.
And he, great player a little bit. And Green got up after him and go, wow, how about that speech by Doughty? That's fantastic. It was just hilarious the way he did it. That was a lot of fun watching them do that. And again, knowing the guys, even Jimmy Fox got emotional who I played with and doing the broadcasting. So knowing those guys and playing with them and seeing them have the success. Because, I played there and we had some good teams, but we never really got that close to winning. And he says, I was the same way when the Rangers won the Cup in '94. It's like I was partly jealous and partly happy.
Did you cry, shed a tear?
I don't know if I shed a tear, but I remember thinking, man, that's going to be great to win a cup in New York.
The Rangers, they had their win in '94, and hockey, as you know, is very conservative, very straight-laced, but that's one area where they just let loose. And they get absolutely nuts. I mean, think back to Ovechkin swimming in that fountain, and some of the speeches and some of these guys are just pickled with, drunk.
It was when it was at Kucherov in Tampa too when he was
my God,
he hit the beer right at the podium.
Right. Yeah, so that's one area where they just kind of let go. That's the only time.
It really is. Like especially in public, to say this, we won the cup. It's kind of a tradition. You're supposed to get hammered all
but
the
at
time.
some point you're like,
Yeah, I know.
That's a little too much,
Yeah, but isn't that like Washington guys? They went, they were gone. Apparently they have a real beer drinking team all the time.
Well, they won in Vegas too, which it's dicey to begin with. I wonder how Vegas was last year. That must have been nuts when they won.
The places to play now. I was so lucky to live in New York and Los Angeles, but all that like Tampa and Dallas.
Well, they had some crazy parties in Tampa too. Well, I wonder, how was it when they won in COVID? That must have been terrible because you win. There's nobody in the building. It's like great.
Is that what Tampa won during the COVID?
I think the first cup was during COVID. Yeah, they beat Montreal, which is so weird how they did that. Playoffs.
That would be weird. What do you do?
All right, guys. Socially
distanced. Get COVID.
Yeah. That's something I probably did. But yeah, Robitaille, just what a good guy, great player, Hall of Famer.
I like his stories too, like all the stuff that he's done, going to win the cup in Detroit. And even going back, it had to hurt him when he got traded out of LA, especially the first time, because that was his team. Then to come back and have the vision to go to Mr. Lawicki, Tim Lawicki, the president, I guess president team at the time and say, listen, let me work for the team. I'll handle the business side. Go talk to the fans.
Also saying to the owner, like, you got to do this better, you know?
Yeah, isn't that true? Like, change the culture and have people talk the same language. Yeah. I always admired him, thought he was a really intelligent kid, but I got to be honest. I mean, he took it to a whole nother level after the game. Did stuff that I think a lot of other guys had done. Again, like you had mentioned before, there are other former players that have become presidents, but I just think he's taking it to a whole different level.
Well, he's got 2 cups now, so he'll probably be president for as long as he wants to. You know? And he hired your teammate, Rob Blake. He didn't hire you, though. It's surprising.
Well, I was busy. I think I was still in the agent business when he got going. Yeah.
He didn't use you as an agent either.
No, he had Pat. Well, he actually had Tom Rich when he first started. A really good guy. He's actually based in Pittsburgh. And another thing, his really good friend Pat Brisson, they grew up together. So Pat moved to L.A. When Luc got there. But Pat has really done well in his career too. He's the head of CAA hockey now. Got tons of good players.
But he didn't hire you, his buddy. So that's a little upsetting, you know.
Well,
were you busy that day too?
Couldn't pay me that much.
The
the salary I would have wanted to get, you just couldn't afford.
Yeah, sure. How come you didn't go out to any LA alumni events? You should. You're a king as well.
Yeah. Again, I did. I felt bad. They lined me up for one show or one event. Case of the diarrhea.
You had the runs?
Yeah. I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to get on a plane for 6 hours.
Fair enough. You should get out there, though.
I don't have to. Actually, when I was out there, we had the finale show for Survivor.
That's right. You were a guest star on Survivor.
Yeah, that's right. Sitting in the back row.
5 episodes?
Sitting in the back row. And you're in the back row. They seat you based on where you're, so the people up front were all the people that,
So
I'm in the back row. They never talked to me.
They even ask you, former NHL player Tom Laidlaw, first Canadian?
They care less. They didn't talk to me one bit. But they gave us all 4 tickets to the show. So I called Luc up and I said, listen, we've got people working for the Kings that want to go to the show. So he had some people.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
He didn't go, obviously.
No, he didn't care less.
He's like, I don't care about your 15th place finish on Survivor. But
I guess it was 15.
Wow. Yikes. Well,
what were you doing? What show were you on? What series?
I didn't even try for Survivor. No need.
You're on the couch?
No, I've never watched Survivor.
Oh, okay.
No thanks. I didn't want to see you.
Just wondered what you were doing when I was up at the beach there.
No, I didn't want to see your sand nuts and your aqua dumps. I was good with that, man.
We got to get that video. Maybe we should do that. We'll do a retake of me taking a dump, and then we can go to Todd's Point in Greenwich here. I'll take a dump and do a video of that.
And then you can stop all those people you've gone after as a dog policeman. They'll come back and they'll give back to you, man.
Poop all over we got to talk about it. Poop all over the grounds here at Greenwich Place. Dog poop. People aren't picking it up.
# Greenwich problems.
Yeah, Greenwich problems.
Seriously.
Total lack of respect, dog owners. But we should do a show on that, dog owners.
I don't think so.
Wait, you notice my chair is sinking here?
I do. You're losing stature. What's going on here?
See how long ago. We just kept it down. You pointed out the show there with screens. My head just keeps going down and down.
It'd be like that Kilroy over here. Just be the top of your head. Look at that shiny pink dome.
That's
Jesus.
A nice dome. That's a nice dome. Like, as a bald man, you want to have a good shape to your head. I'm the Rock's grandfather.
You're certainly pink, though. Jesus, what? Like, you look really pink.
It's called salmon. It's called
pink.
Healthy.
It's sea moss. Is it healthy?
Yeah, totally healthy. Yeah, sea moss, cold showers.
You get those supplies at the Costco in Port Chester.
They don't have sea moss.
Wow.
So, yeah, I have to order that online.
Okay. You get it.
But for anybody who wants to know, you want to have good skin: sea moss, avocados, bananas. Well, not bananas, but salmon. A lot of salmon, good fats in that. All right, I'll help you with your skin.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I'll need that.
Right.
And Luc Robitaille has good skin because you shot a hairdryer full of baby powder in his face.
Yeah, well, he ended up doing it himself. He was good. So the practical joke is you put the baby powder in the hairdryer. So then the pretty boys come along to dry their hair. The baby powder comes flying out, so they turn it on. And so he volunteered to do it for this little video. And he did a great job to right his face. Like, he didn't do it the kind of halfway.
Laidlaw. We'll run a clip of that over this episode and we'll show people.
That's famous, that clip. That's
no, it is.
Millions of views.
That probably got you on Survivor, just having done that clip.
True. Or just my wonderful personality.
Or that clip. Anyway, Luc Robitaille, great show.
What they made the decision to have me on Survivor.
I don't know. Well, you did say there was a fluke that you got because Canadians didn't think they could be on because of 80s. And then they're like, oh no, you could have been on the whole time.
Yeah, find us the first Canadian. Oh, here he is.
Tom Laidlaw. You're like the George Washington of reality TV for Canadians. George Washington. You're a pioneer. You're the first Canadian to go dump in the ocean.
First NHL hockey player on there too. Record setter.
Only, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else ever get on.
Has there been a Canadian since?
I don't know. I haven't watched shows.
Wow. Do you hear that? Some all you Survivor fans that send Tom DMs and try to meet up with him. He hasn't watched the show.
I really hadn't watched that much, but I watched it early, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch much, so I had to go back and watch a whole bunch of shows so I knew what was going on. Thank God I did too, because that's why I did so well.
I think Jeff Probst's going to be upset with you now, Tom. You're off the Christmas list.
I look like Jeff Probst. I'm so short right now.
What? You're such a height bully, you know?
God. What? He's not a very tall man.
How tall is he?
He's vertically challenged.
How tall is he?
I don't know. I was 5'9". 5'8" or something. He's not.
Oh, that's shorter than I am. That's
he's not-
short.
he's not too small.
What about you guys were mentioning how Sylvester Stallone is tiny too, right? And Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it's funny because you don't realize it in the movies you're watching him. Tom Cruise was hilarious. He was by the glass watching the game. I walked behind him. There he was with Nicole Kidman. She's a foot taller than
Wow. And Michael J. Fox is also very short.
Yep. Yeah. John Candy, we lost him,
Not
but-
short.
Yeah, not short. He was a big man.
It was.
It's funny. He was like hammered a few times after the games coming in there. So right after the game, I mean, we're going to go have beers, but
Sure.
when you're still fresh from playing the game, and these big guys,
Or they're shitted for
start-
3 hours. They're just hammering
Yeah.
beers. So how was he funny when you talked to him in real life, or was he just like
Candy,
hockey fan?
the only time I talked to him was when he was hammered after the game, so it was more like,
Oh, so he just blasted.
Yeah.
But he was Wayne's buddy, right?
yeah, well, I think all were.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Bruce McNall talked about in our show how Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell went to visit in prison too.
Right,
So
yeah.
That says a lot about them too, being loyal and the reputation he built. So,
Yep, big hockey guys.
yeah, definitely. Luc Robitaille is excellent. Good.
Excellent.
Wow.
And as you're shrinking down in the camera, people can't see this, but Tom's chair keeps dropping down. It's almost like a funny bit here. He's almost to the Full Change logo.
Oh God, that's hilarious. I kept it kept going down. I was like, is it really falling down or what's going on?
No, you're shrinking. And if you like what you're hearing, please like our show, follow us on socials, leave us a review on Apple, share it around, download it, enjoy what we're doing.
Oh, Canada.
There was a promise you wouldn't sing, man.
Beautiful singing. And if you want to hire us too, you can hire us to sing, dance,
They hire you to sing.
do imitations of wild animals and everything.
Wait, that was Chewbacca. Now it's a wild
Chewbacca.
animal.
It was the Chewbacca. Movie characters. We do just about anything.
Oh.
Sing, dance, cook. We can cook for you.
All right. Well, on that note, we will see you later.
All right, grasshoppers. Thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.